another thing that kind of changed with COVID is like virtual interviews.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about that, Mike?
I love it. I absolutely think it's way better for many, many reasons. Okay, so, but a lot of my colleagues disagree. I don't know what you think, but I'll tell you, the evidence that we can make a big difference in person and tell it reliably. I mean, if you ever read Malcolm Gladwell's book on that, it's, talking to strangers. The evidence is we don't do so good at it. I'm pretty confident I don't do so good at it. And so to save all that travel and all the hassle of interviews, it really doesn't, I think doing it virtually saves a lot of time and a lot of money for a lot of people. And I think occasionally it's a problem. Now, what do you think? I mean, I think the students and residents have different views on it too. Go ahead. What do you think?
I never got to do a virtual interview myself. I was like beyond, I think maybe the semi-last
You're
class.
that old?
I am. I'm pretty old. I'm almost 40 now. So thank you. I'll take it as a compliment.
Yeah. I would share what Mike said. I think that virtual interviewing, has been a net positive overall. It's made things a lot more equitable that in the past your success was kind of based on the number of interviews you could go to, which in some way was kind of a measure of how many interviews could you afford to go to. And if you were, let's say you're a student in the Midwest who really doesn't have a geographic preference, you can travel to a lot of programs by car. But if you're trying to go to the coasts and maintain your medical school education, you're flying. That very quickly starts to add up. So that's hotels, airfare, round trip for 8 to 12 interviews. So that can get really pricey really quick. We traded, I think, as a field that problem for a new problem, which is it's now a lot easier to go on more interviews. And so we've kind of seen that as a specialty as well, that there's now been a select number of applicants who are now going to 15 or 20 programs
or
more for interviews, while other people are going to 4 or 5. And so it is in some ways kind of changed it from, one issue to another, which, depending on what type of applicant you are and which side of that scale you're on, it's either a better or a worse thing. But I do think that overall it's been a net positive. I think that now it's a little more, I don't want to say merit for application, but I think there is a little bit more, the person who's getting the 20 interviews and going to them, there's probably a reason that they've been invited to attend 20 interviews. The other thing that I would say, which I don't know, that you may think this is a little controversial, is on the applicant side, I think there was some concern of, if I don't go to the place, is it going to be a little bit easier to deceive me? From that perspective.
I agree that is a potential problem.
And so I think it is. I would also be a little controversial and say, if you were a program director who truly didn't have your best applicant's interest at heart, which I would question anybody who's a program director doing that, you can fool somebody just as easily in person as you can over interview, right? You can control
that. No, I'm kidding.
You could easily say, who do you want these people to interact with, or who do you don't want them to interact with, or what part of the hospital do you want them to see or not want to see on a physical visit. You can do the same virtually. And so I don't necessarily know that it's easier or harder to deceive somebody through one versus the other. I will also say, to try to assuage applicant concerns, it does me no good to fool you, because if you choose to come to this program, we've got to work together as a partnership for the next 3 to 4 years, depending on whether it's an advanced or categorical program. So we're now a team. So if I convinced you to come here for a reason that isn't why you would have come here had you known the truth, we're both stuck. That doesn't help either of us. And so I would say that well-intending program directors, we have no incentive to deceive an applicant. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help them. And for somebody to go through all of the work to learn the regulations, to learn the accreditation requirements, work with the faculty to create a program, to then try to hurt an applicant, that's a lot of work to go through for somebody who's done all of this other work altruistically. So I just, I would say that to try to put that concern to bed as best we can.